What's up, Hey Mission Church? Happy Monday to you. Hopefully you got a rest-filled Sunday afternoon. I'll be totally honest with you, I am filming this actually on Sunday afternoon, and so physically I'm pretty spent, I'm pretty tired, but emotionally, a little spent too, but my heart spiritually is just filled with joy and gratitude for what I was able to witness this morning at Mission Church. Just so grateful. If you weren't there, even if you were there, I can recap. John talked about just hope for everyone. It requires us to live lives with wide open hands, and that everything that we have is God's. And we got to help start a new church today, Renewal Church. It's launched in September 20th later this year, but in 4 minutes via text message, we were able to raise over $28,000 to help start Renewal Church. And we also announced that we were giving away 2 of our trailers and everything in it, all of our portable church equipment, to help them start Renewal Church, a new church that's going to be for the neighborhood, a gospel-centered church in West Chicago. And we got to live out the message today and to just live lives as a church and as individuals with just wide open hands. And so thanks for your generosity. It's inspiring. It's just awesome, man. I'm just speechless. And so this is for Monday, but I'm filming this right after church on Sunday, and because my mind is just blown, I don't have it in me to give you anything new today, and that's kind of a good thing. I want us to just live in what we experienced on Sunday. And so, lucky for me, there's this great story, just a few verses in Acts chapter 16 that really recaps what we experienced today that happened really at the start, the launch of the church in Philippi. And so get to Acts 16. We're going to spend just a couple minutes looking at a story here that applies to what we got to experience on Sunday. And I want to just reiterate it again today on Monday to give us something to really think about and to thank God for throughout the week. So Acts chapter 16, we're going to start at verse 13. Leading up to this, just to set you guys up to know what's going on, Paul, he gets a vision in the night to go to Macedonia, and basically a plea from the people of Macedonia saying, Paul, please bring your message to us. And so Paul responds to this vision that he believes was from God, and he goes to Macedonia. Okay, this is in Greece. And a bunch of crazy stuff happens. Read the chapter because it's packed with a bunch of different little great stories. Ends with Paul and Silas busting out of jail through the power of God. So read it. But in verse 13, we're going to pick it up, okay? Acts 16, verse 13. It says this: On the Sabbath we went outside the city gate to the river. We were expected to find a place of prayer. So they're going to just look for a quiet place of prayer. It says, we sat down and began to speak to the women who had gathered there. One of those listening was a woman from the city of Thyatira named Lydia, a dealer in purple cloth. Okay, so Lydia, dealer of purple cloth. So purple back in the day was a symbol of royalty. It was the most expensive color of linens to deal with. So she's probably someone that had a good amount of money. She came from wealth, but she was a dealer of purple cloth. It also says she was a worshiper of God. So she's originally from Greece, but she probably converted to a Jew. So she's a worshiper of God. And it says, but the Lord opened her heart to respond to Paul's message. Okay, so that's in verse 14. Worshiper of God is exposed to the gospel message of Jesus Christ as forgiver of all sins, whose grace covers everything, who abolished the law, who rose from the dead, who is now alive in her. She becomes exposed to the gospel of Jesus Christ, and she becomes a believer in Jesus Christ on the spot. She responds to Paul's message. Pick it up in verse 15. When she and the members of her household were baptized, okay? So she gives her life to Jesus. Her household is baptized. Let's just look at the first thing that she does. The first act as a follower of Jesus is this. She invited us to her home. If you consider me a believer, she said, in the Lord, come and stay at my house. And the author saying, she persuaded us. And so the part that I think builds off of what we experienced on Sunday today for me is this woman, Lydia, is exposed to the message of Jesus Christ, and she submits her life to Jesus Christ. And her first act as a follower of Jesus is to have wide open hands. Scholars believe that because she did this, she probably had a nice home with multiple rooms and servants to take care of the apostles. And so she launched the church at Philippi with this act of generosity. And many scholars believe she went on to send money to the apostles as they continued to start churches, and in as the message of Jesus spread throughout the land. And so the thing I want us to focus on simply today is the quote from Lydia. It's at the end of verse 15 where she says, "If you consider me a believer in the Lord, come and stay at my house." And she persuaded us. As you move about your day today and throughout this week, there are people watching you. And I want you to just think in your mind and in your heart. Probably don't say this out loud. You can. But I want you to say what Lydia said, which is, if you consider me a believer, right, then watch what I do, and I'm going to persuade you. And so that's going to require us to live lives that are radically different, radically generous. And I think what we can learn from church this weekend and from this message is that let's live lives with just wide open hands, where we're just opening our homes and opening our wallets and just being generous with our time, with our talents, with our money, with our words of encouragement. And like the apostles were, which is the last few words where the author says, and she persuaded us. Like, they were persuaded that because of the amount of generosity and hospitality that Lydia showed them, they were convinced that she had submitted her life to Jesus Christ. And I think, just coming off of the message this weekend, we want to be hope for everyone. So let's just continue to live lives with wide open hands, and let's persuade the people around us that, like, we're different and we're serious about what we believe in. We're going to lay everything down at the feet of Jesus and just live lives of wide open hands. So continue to read Acts 16. A bunch of great stuff in it. But like I said, I didn't want to come up with something new today. I just didn't have it in me. So I was happy to see this story in here that very much aligns with what we got to experience this weekend, giving back to God and helping start a new church. You can do it right now with your phone if you got it with you. Before we go, I'll just give you the instructions. So if you want to get a pen, or if you want to like pause it here in a second to get ready, you can pause it now. But you can text any dollar amount. You don't need a dollar sign, but text any amount that you wish to give to the number 630-883-0030. Okay? And you're going to get shot back a quick reply with a link. Okay? And you just click that link, and you can set up and confirm your donation. You can live a life with wide open hands, and you can help start a church in West Chicago and add to the $28,000. So text any dollar amount to 630-883-0030. Confirm your gift, and let's keep adding to this number. All for God's glory, all for His kingdom and for His church. Really humbled and honored to be on this journey with you guys. I believe that God is breathing movement into our church, and today was just a small picture of, I think it's just the beginning of what God wants to do in us and through us here in the 10. So really excited. I'm probably going to go take a nap. Happy Monday to you guys. Have a great day. Just continue to glorify God and enjoy Him today. Keep up these devotionals. We'll see you soon. Bye.